What's going on, Infected? It's Wolf with the Quarantine, and today I'm going to be taking a look at a game that was sent to me to review by the name of Welcome to Centerville. Now, Welcome to Centerville is a dice-rolling, push-your-luck city-building game where the players are trying to transform this small town into a large city through the aspect of rolling dice and pushing your luck with a very Yahtzee-style system. So playing a game of Welcome to Centerville is actually pretty simple, pretty straightforward. As I mentioned, it is a dice-throwing, Yahtzee-style push-your-luck game. So what you're going to do is on your turn, first things first, you're going to see if you have a master tile. Now, if you have a master tile, you're going to set that appropriate die. So if you have the Master of Commerce, for example, you're going to take the yellow die, you're going to set it to any side that you want. Most of the time, you're going to set it to this side, but you can set it to any side depending on what you're trying to do. And then you're going to roll your dice. And then at that point, you can keep, say, I want to keep these two dice on this face. This is what I rolled. I can set these off to the side, and then I can pick up all the remaining dice, and I can roll them again. And you're basically going to be able to roll the dice up to 3 times. Now, if you ever roll an hourglass, these are bad symbols. These are locked in. You never get to re-roll these. These you're going to set off onto the side of the board, and that's going to advance the timer, which increases or decreases the length of the game, because that's basically, again, the timer of the game. And once you get to the bottom, you're going to go through a scoring phase. But once you've rolled your dice and you've decided either I'm locked in or you're forced to lock in because you've rolled your third time, then you're going to spend the symbols on here. So there's several different things. I'm not going to go into super in-depth. You're going to have a little player mat here that actually explains everything that you can spend these dice on. But essentially, if you have these little symbols here that show, like in this case, it shows a little shopping cart, and this shows a little house. There's like a wrench and a little bus stop. Those you're going to use to spend on the 4 sections of the board. Now, the 4 sections of the actual city itself, these are basically an area control game. You have tier 1 areas, tier 2, and tier 3. Now, the way this works is if I have a cube in tier 3, that means I have 3 points in, say, red. So if I have 1 in tier 3 and 1 in tier 4, I have 4 points in there when it comes to determining who has the most when it comes to scoring. Now, the way this works is, let's say I rolled this here. So I rolled the 3 symbols here, the red symbol, the wrench, and the shopping cart. So because one of these symbols matched the red, I can put either a tier 3 in red, blue, or yellow, but I'd have to spend all 3 of these. Or I can do a 1 in all 3, or maybe a 2 in yellow and a 1 in red, or a 2 in red and a 1 in yellow, or any combination of the 2. As long as one of the colors that you're spending on that are the color of the section of the board that you want to buy a location in. Once you buy a location, you're going to toss a cube in there to show that you own that location. Nobody else can bump you out of that. Now, the next symbol is going to be your bench. Your benches here allow you to add cubes to the Central Park area. Now, Central Park does 2 things. You can also spend benches later to score points that you have equal to what's in the park, but the bench or the park area also adds 1 to everything around the board. So if I have 5 cubes, for example, in Central Park and 1 in red, I technically have 6 in red, but then I have 5 in everything else as well. So it's kind of a wild and counts for everything, but it's a little bit more difficult to roll. The next symbol you can get are these check marks here. These are voting. Now, they work very similar to building a building, so I have 2 votes in red in this example, or 2 votes in yellow, or 1 in each, which does nothing. You need a minimum of 2 votes to be able to do anything. Now, the votes are basically special powers and special abilities that only relate to you, and they impact scoring. They're going to be on here. I'm not going to get into too much detail, but when you do vote in that area, you get an immediate effect. Whether it's you just get to immediately take another turn, which is the urban planner, or if you're the mayor, you could just immediately move to the top of the status track. So there's an immediate effect, but then you're going to get points once you get to a scoring phase based on how many offices that you hold. Now, if I have 2 votes in an area, you can throw 3 votes, remembering that one of those colors have to match the same color to overthrow me and take that office. But then you would, of course, get the immediate bonus as well. And then if you hold it until the scoring phase, you would get the bonus points for holding that off. Now, the next thing, as I mentioned, is the hourglass. This is going to advance time, but when you do, it's not just a wasted die. You're going to either gain 1 status, 1 wealth, or 1 prestige. Now, the interesting thing about wealth and prestige are those are your 2 scoring mechanisms. So you could be super rich but not be really prestigious, and out of those 2, your final score is going to be the lowest of the 2. So that's why part of the city, half of the city is wealth, half of the city is prestige. So you want to have a balanced approach to this. The next symbol you can get are these trees here. Now, the trees allow you to advance along the greenbelt track up at the top, and it also allows you to take the river spaces, which are like the really rich people, riverfront properties, stuff like that. And those score really like a whole lot of points, either prestige or money. Then another thing you can do is with these trees, if you happen to roll 4 of them, each section of the city has a 4 cost location, which is huge. And then the last thing is you have these little education tokens, and those are the vocation tiles on the side of the board. Now, these are going to come out, and they're always going to come out in a certain order. Well, they come out randomly, but they're always going to be placed in a certain order from lowest to highest at the top. And what those are is at the end of the game, these are like a set collection bonus. You can score a bunch of points for having a bunch of 1, or you can have a variety of these tokens. Once the hourglass hits the bottom of the track, at that point, you hit a scoring phase. Once you hit a scoring phase, of course, you're going to finish your turn, and then you're going to do the scoring phase, and you're going to score things according to this. And it breaks it down pretty simple. So when you do scoring, you see who has the most in each quadrant of the city. Whoever's the most is going to get 6. Whoever's the least is going to get -3. And you're going to do that for all 4, keeping in mind the Central Park area is a wild and counts for all of them. Then you're going to score along the river, and each river space you occupy on the bridge is going to be worth wealth equal to your greenbelt track. And then you're going to slide it over to on a building, which is going to account for endgame scoring. Then you're going to get points for offices, then your status depending on where you are on that little status track, and if you get bumped out of that, you get favors, which can be used for all kinds of things. And then you're going to reset it, and you're going to do that the first time. Then the second time, or the third time that you get to the bottom of the track, you're going to then score your vocations, which again, if you have a bunch of 1, you score points. If you have a variety, you also score points. You're going to get points on the villas, which are that riverfront when they slide over, and then your legacy, which is a little secret objective. Now, I know that sounded like a whole lot, but it's really not. And I know this also looks super intimidating, but it's really not. It breaks down pretty much all your actions really simply. Once you roll these dice and you can look at them and go, okay, well, I got these symbols, and I can put them over here, and I got these, I can put them over here, and you go, okay, well, what can I do with 2 hats? Okay, I can acquire 1 vocation from the middle section, or I can do the top one twice and acquire a top vocation tile of the campus. Okay, cool. Well, maybe I want to use one of my rerolls to roll these, because if I get 3, I can acquire a vocation tile from the bottom of it, which are the best ones. Or maybe I can gain control of the media tile, which is kind of a wild. So you can judge that by just looking at this. All of the symbols are broken down super simply on here. Now, normally, I'm not a big fan of dice games. I'm not a big fan of push your luck style games, purely because I tend to roll like warm garbage in a blender, and that's the reason why I don't care. I hate the fact that I lost because I just couldn't roll to save my freaking life. And this game is going to turn a lot of people off because of that. Whereas me, in my experience of playing this, it didn't seem to be that big of a deal. Namely because of the masters. You're going to wind up getting those if you can manage to roll 4 check marks of just, of course, different colors, but if you can roll 4 check marks, you just get a master tile of your choice. And I highly recommend doing that at any available opportunity, because it allows you to mitigate some of the luck involved with rolling the dice. Now, it's also important to note that when you're trying to get one of those master's dice, the reason why it's very important to try to get those as soon as possible is because once they're gone, they're gone. Nobody else can get them. And they are such an invaluable asset in this game, because if you don't have them and everybody else is able to mitigate some of that luck and you're just at the mercy of these dice, that may really ruin the game for you. But other than that being one major flaw that a lot of people are going to dislike about this game, other than that, the game is outstanding. It's very simple, even though you wouldn't guess it by looking at this, because you look at this, you're going to go, oh my god, that looks so complicated. But it's really not, because again, you're going to roll these dice and look at the symbols and go, okay, well, what are they? And there's one symbol I didn't even mention. You have these question marks, and this basically just duplicates another die, both the symbol and the color. So if I rolled, say, the bus here and this, I can do 2 red ones basically if I wanted to. So it's really interesting, because even though I hate dice-based games that don't have luck mitigation, this does. However, if you happen to just not be able to roll 4 check marks to save your life, and you wind up getting screwed on getting those master tiles, then, which hasn't happened to me yet, hasn't happened to anybody yet, which is why I do like the game. I definitely like it. But that is definitely going to turn a lot of people off, because you are rolling dice. So if you don't like dice games, you're probably not going to like this. But the fact that you're able to roll those dice 3 times total, and you can kind of judge your luck based on that. So you're going to roll and go, okay, I could use this. What I rolled, I can do something with. But do I want to get rid of it and try for something better? And that's where the strategy and how great this game winds up being really is. And it feels like a lighter version of a game I reviewed either earlier or I'll be reviewing later, depending on when they show up when they wind up going out, of Urban Sprawl. Urban Sprawl is a fairly heavy but simple to play city builder. This is a lighter dice chucking version of that, really. Other than that, I absolutely love this game. I'm a big fan of city building games. I love SimCity and games like that, and this definitely reminds me of that, with a little bit of luck thrown in. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you guys next time in the quarantine.